Hello everybody, my name is Bragster and welcome back to F1 Manager with McLaren. Last time out we had the British and Austrian Grand Prix, which we did do reasonably well in. It was very hit and miss, a lot of crashes, and it seems like the theme of crashes was going on in the French Grand Prix. We've already played the French Grand Prix, so I'm just going to let Connor run you through it because it's absolutely chaos. Right, so we missed out Q1 simply because our capture card just decided to not capture Q1, but we captured Q2 and here on out, and Q1 was easy. We got through that, piece of piss really, no troubles whatsoever. But Q2 did end up posing a few more troubles, not for Lando Norris though, because Lando Norris managed to put in a really good time. As for Daddy Rick did end up on his lap improving, but it just wasn't enough. He improved a decent amount, but it only got him to 12th, and unfortunately he went out in Q2. For Q3, Lando Norris's first run out got him position 8, but to our surprise, Norris ended up improving yet again and getting to 5th. Which was incredible, putting us in an unbelievable position going into the race of 12th and 5th. The two strategies we were going for was softs to wets with Ricciardo, and with Norris going from mediums to wets, simply because the wet weather was coming and we didn't know when. We only knew roughly when. So from the moment that the softs and the mediums were done, it was going to be wets from then on out, or inters, but we didn't know what was going to happen. For Norris though, we thought what was going to happen was he was going to trail the Ferraris and the Red Bulls for the majority of this race. However, Lando Norris on these mediums just decided to go for it, didn't he? He overtook Perez early on, getting into 4th, and even Ricciardo decided to channel that Norris energy of overtaking everybody like a madman and rising up the ranks and just putting himself in an incredible position in 8th, which was awesome to see. And then Norris decided, do you know what, Perez isn't enough, I'm going to set the fastest lap and I'm going to overtake Verstappen as well in the first 2 laps. So after the first 2 laps, we were in P3 and P8. But, as we keep saying, Ricciardo wasn't done. No, of course not. Ricciardo decided to overtake Hamilton and get into 7th, so we were currently in 3rd and 7th, and rain started to come, and rain started to come earlier than expected for everybody, which luckily for us didn't throw our strategies too far out the window, because we had Ricciardo on the softs which were going out anyway, and on the mediums we could just push really hard. We took a risk by staying out as long as possible, even when it went above 1mm where these tyres weren't going to be that great. We stayed out just to see what everyone else was coming out on, and everyone else was coming out of inters. Because our weather forecast was wrong, we knew we had to rely on everyone else on the grid to almost tell us what the weather was going to be like. And everyone else went on inters, so we pitted for inters, and we came out in 3rd with Norris and 9th with Ricciardo. We did have to double stack a little bit, and Ricciardo's pit stop was a bit slow, so he ended up dropping off in pace. However, for Norris didn't end up dropping off too much and kept his 3rd place. And that just kept going until the weather absolutely hammered it down. It went above 6mm. We were on the inters, we were halfway through the lap, and it just started to rain heavily, so everyone was coming in for the wets. After we came in for the wets, Norris came out in roughly 6th, Ricciardo roughly around that 10th mark, but there were a few people still left out that were on inters. As you can see there, Norris having to overtake Ocon, who was still on inters himself. Once everyone had pitted for their wets, we ended up in 3rd and 8th. There was a lot of position changes due to changing strategies quickly depending on the weather. And depending on the weather again, the weather went drier again, so we had to pit for inters again. So it was just a constant swapping and changing of where people were, just trying to pit for these inters. But Norris didn't end up losing places and kept his 3rd place Norris was on a mad one in this one, keeping that distance, so every time he pitted, he was absolutely fine. As for Danny Rick, though, Danny Rick ended up coming out in a decent position himself, ended up coming out in 9th. You cannot complain with that whatsoever. And, funnily enough, there were more pit stops to come. It got wet yet again. So everyone, yet again, had to go out onto the wets. It was a constant swap and change, and I know I'm saying that a lot, but it really was. Norris ended up coming out in 6th. Ricciardo ended up coming out a bit further down, in fairness, but from here on out we knew we could stay out as much as possible. Unfortunately for us though, Norris ended up crashing. Yes, he did. He ended up crashing into Gasly, into the back of him. But luckily for us though, it was only minor front wing damage and a 5-second penalty, unfortunately for us. But that 5-second penalty, all it meant was that we were going to have to maintain 5 seconds above whoever was behind us with Norris. Now, the weather went damp again, but we decided at this point, with Norris and Ricciardo needing to make up places, and with the weather forecast the way it was, we needed to stay out on those wets. So we did stay out on those wets, but Ricciardo decided to join the party of crashing into people, as he crashed into Perez, ended up overtaking Perez and getting a 5-second penalty himself, as well as the front wing damage. It was almost the exact same crash for both of these drivers, and it meant we had to basically drive them both the same, and they drove to perfection. Norris ended up keeping that 5-second gap to Leclerc, securing us our first ever podium in this series, and Danny Rick ended up maintaining a 20-second gap to Perez, meaning that Danny Rick was going to finish in 5th. It was a perfect race for us. Obviously, it would have been better without those crashes, but the fact that we still managed to get 3rd and 5th, even with the crashes, was incredible. And there you can see Norris on the podium, as he should be. It's about time we got a podium finish, and it's so nice to say that we finally got one up there alongside the Ferraris and the Red Bulls. If you look at the drivers' standings, Lando Norris ended up in 7th, overtaking Valtteri Bottas. Ricciardo ended up overtaking Ocon, getting into the top 10 of the drivers' standings. As for the constructors, though, we ended up going finally above Alpine yet again. But could we catch the Mercedes? Now you are up to date with the French Grand Prix, which did end up actually being a good race for us in the end, despite all the chaos. Today we have the Hungarian Grand Prix, 70 laps, so a massive amount of laps in comparison to the French Grand Prix, which is only 53. We've got 70 laps to go through today. We are edging towards the end of the season, or at least the latter half. We are in round 13, and remember there's only 22 races, so we're over halfway there now. We're ploughing through. Let's get into Hungary. Right, so we've got to put some race targets in, and again, with the qualifying targets, I'm just going to put it all the way up. Whereas this, actually, is a performance target to get someone in the top 10. I can do that. And remember, we completed our hot streaks. Both hot streaks have ended up completing, so we're going to kind of do the same again. But we're going to do top 10. If you guys remember, we always seem to do top 10. For 4 races, I would say, just because then this one comes in and then the qualifying one comes in. So, yeah, in the top 10, maybe top 9, but it's not that much of a difference. So we'll go top 10 for 4 races, and we'll start that one off. Because the qualifying one is to qualify in 12th or above, but our car's far too good at this point. Far too good. So we will get that one as well. So we're fine with that. So yeah, I feel like our car is so good now that we can kind of put almost every performance target possible on, apart from the fastest lap. Oh no, we could have rain for qualifying, which we know what sort of problems rain can cause. The French Grand Prix saw that, and in qualifying it caused even more problems. Although it did work out for us last time, so you never know. But whenever I see rain on there, you just know chaos is gonna come. I'm not gonna lie, guys, I don't ever show you anything from practice, but when Leclerc, Verstappen, Gasly, and Mick Schumacher all have penalties than P1, I mean, that is something to bring up because, oh boy, like those, just qualifying near those guys is really going to help us out, and it's going to put Leclerc and Verstappen further down, so it could make qualifying really good for us. Okay, right, so although rain is predicted, there is no rain on our track meter here at all, so we're going to send them out early, because quite frankly, if we send them out early and our weather is wrong, it won't be, we will still manage to put out a good lap onto the track. We've done this before, we can do it again. A wet qualifying isn't necessarily the end of the world for us because we know how to plan these things out, but it's hopefully the weather doesn't turn on us too much. Danny Rick might get held up by Perez here. We're hoping not, but he seems to be being held up a little bit by Perez. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad, but it might have just been enough. And you've got Norris, I think, catching up Stroll. So hopefully he moves out the way and quick. He does move out the way and quick. Ricciardo's time, 1:16.7. I don't actually know if that's any good, to be honest with you. Gasly's not too far in front, so I can't imagine it'd be too bad. And Norris, 0.001 behind Gasly. That is ridiculous, by the way. Absolutely ridiculous. Jesus Christ. Right, so I said we'd see what it looked like, and at the moment, Norris in 5th, Ricciardo in 7th, according to everything. I don't know whether the others got held up or what, but if they didn't get held up by that much, then we're in a brilliant position, but I'm pretty sure a lot of them did. But to be honest with you, we should be absolutely fine in Q1. It's Q1, isn't it? And here we go. Norris is behind Alonso, and I think Ricciardo is behind Hamilton. I don't know that for certain, but I'm pretty sure that's the way it is. And to be honest, if they can get into greens, that would be brilliant. If not, I'm not too concerned. But at the moment, both in green. I think Norris has actually improved. Norris has improved, and quite dramatically, actually, on used softs, remember, which is brilliant. Danny Rick, if we cut to Danny Rick, he's currently on course to improve. He does improve. And there's a bunch of people down here who are not improving. This is a good way of gauging roughly where we are. And right now, if where we are is 5th, is 6th and 8th, I'm more than happy with that. Absolutely chuffed to bits with that, actually. Well, this is going to be a test of our abilities. It's wet and very, very wet. Although it wasn't there in Q1, it's there in Q2. Although it does peter off towards the end of the race. I mean, it's already at 5 millimeters. So, do we just set a time early or do we wait for it to dry up? I think we just set a time early and just see what happens, to be honest with you. I don't like fully wet qualifying. I thought it was going to be one of those where, you know, it's slightly wet and stuff like that. No, it's fully wet qualifying. There's been a crash. There's been a crash in Q2. What in the world is going on here? Perez was going around. I'm hoping that's not softs. It looks like, I mean, it's probably wet, but like Perez has span and crashed, which means he might not have a time in Q2. I mean, it's saying involving multiple cars. What's this one? Is this different? I think this is different. We've just seen Perez going off. Then we've got another Red Bull. Is that possibly Verstappen? I'd presume it would be Verstappen. Crashing into the Haas, into Magnussen, who's already Magnussen or Mick Schumacher, either or, but Verstappen and Perez are probably both going to put out really poor times here, which is brilliant for us because remember, Verstappen has a grid penalty. Right, even though it's still very much here, I'm going to play it smart and wait. I'm going to go out on the intermediates. I'm hoping this works, but I'm going to go out on the intermediates. It's no longer a wet track. It's now a damp track. And judging by our weather forecast, it's not going to rain any further. So if it doesn't rain any further, these are the perfect tyres. I wonder what everyone else has gone out on. I think I can see here. So only Leclerc, us, and Russell have gone out on the intermediates. If this pays off, we are in a great position. So our fast laps have started, and it's only 3 millimeters, which is perfect for the intermediates. So we should be going faster than the wet tyres on these intermediates, which is brilliant. So we're just going to try and go as quickly as possible. We might have to overtake here because we are massively faster than this Red Bull who's currently on the wets. Come on, Norris. Norris is coming in now. He's put in a time that gets a second right now, which is brilliant to see. I know we've only got to get into the top 10, but I do love to see it when we start doing extremely, extremely well. Verstappen is out. Verstappen and Perez are already out. Danny Rick has out-qualified Norris, which is expected, to be honest, just because Norris had to overtake people. But Norris still qualified in a great position. But Mick Schumacher, who gets a grid penalty, is out. Verstappen is out in 14, who gets a grid penalty. And Perez is out naturally. He's completely out naturally. I mean, don't get me wrong, he did spin out and have a crash, so I wonder whether that plays any part of it. And I'm pretty sure it was actually Bottas and not a Haas that Verstappen crashed into, which is why Bottas then went out. And currently, Leclerc's got a penalty and Gasly's got a penalty. And they're in the final lot, and look at where we're qualifying. And if this carries on, we've got a chance of qualifying in a great, great spot here. I think we have the most bipolar weather ever, as it's gone dry again, fully dry, but it's going to get wet later. So you know what that means. We're coming out on the fresh softs right now. We are going out right now on these fresh softs. Because damn right, I'm not getting caught up in that rain again. I might not even go out again at this rate. Rain has come. Some people haven't finished yet, so that could slow people down if they haven't finished just about yet. But look at this. 3rd and 4th currently as it stands. It's going to be an interesting one, to say the very least. I mean, God knows what's going to happen in this one. I said we might not need to go out again, and we don't need to go out again. We are going to qualify in roughly 3rd or 4th, although Gasly has a penalty, and I think Leclerc has a penalty. So we could be starting this race in pole position, which I never thought I'd say, but we have qualified perfectly. We sent them out at the perfect time, because as soon as they finished that lap, it told us wet weather was on the way. So we're just going to let them go, because quite frankly, I do not need to go out again. Holy hell, we're actually going to start on pole position. We've qualified in 3rd and 4th, and both Leclerc and Gasly have penalties. We're going to start, McLaren are going to start this race, number 1 and number 2. Right, so here are our two strategies. We are going for softs, hards, softs with Ricciardo, and soft, hards with Norris. We are mixing it up slightly, so they are just slightly different. Just so we don't, if they do stay in P1 and P2, what we don't want to do is cross them over in the pit stop at any point, in the pit lane at any point. So at least this way we know they're not going to cross. The other reason is just in case something goes wrong, to be honest, because I haven't got a clue. I want to take advantage of having 2 brand new softs, but it's I don't know how it's going to go, to be honest with you. I'm not used to being in P1 and P2, so this is unforeseen territory, I'm not going to lie.
It's lights out, and away we go.
Here we go. Come on. Come on, Danny Rick. Come on, Ricciardo. Come on, Danny Rick. Come on, Ricciardo. Come on, Danny Rick. Come on, Norris. I'm so nervous. I am so nervous. We're sticking with Danny Rick, because he's at the front with Norris. Again, we don't mind it if they switch places, which I think Rick has took over Norris at the start, but wouldn't surprise me if they start trading places quite often. But I don't mind that, because if Alonso could lose some ground on them, that'd be brilliant. Look at these two working together. Come on, Norris, and come on, Danny Rick. Absolutely fly, my boys. Fly. Fly. Verstappen's at the back of the grid. We're looking at the likes of Leclerc's massively behind as well. Gasly's not too far behind. If these two can fight it out, that'd be great, because they're about 2 seconds behind us at the moment. What tyres is everyone on? We're on softs. Many people are on mediums to begin with. I'm never going on to the mediums. I'm going on to the hards, which I know it is going to be slower than the mediums for a large portion. Oh, Danny Rick, you absolute cock. You cock. You cock. You don't. Do you know what? Why are you such a cock? Why are you such a cock? Why is he such a cock? You twat. How in the world you didn't fall behind any further than third, I will not know. Oh, we might have to take him off of pushing early. But just as I was talking about the bloody tyres as well, the only benefit actually is the fact that Ricciardo didn't lose that much time because there's a massive gap between people. So we're not in the worst position in the world, to say the least. We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. Right, so in positive news, without even DRS being a thing, Danny Rick has managed to close the gap to Alonso to the point where he might actually get DRS, which is brilliant, because that's going to be the way he's going to overtake Alonso and get back up with Norris and make that spin mean absolutely nothing. But that spin scared the living daylights out of me, because a spin that early can put you right at the back of the grid if the grid are close together. But for whatever reason, this grid is actually quite spaced out. So it feels like DRS in this one is going to actually be quite important. Right, Ricciardo's got DRS on Alonso right at the perfect moment, and Danny Rick has completely floored it past him. He's going to have DRS back, but fingers crossed he won't actually lose the spot, because he's created quite a large gap. So hopefully he can keep his spot from Alonso, which I think he's actually managed to do, and he's managed to make it over a second. Come on, Danny Rick, you absolute legend. All we need is these two drivers to be sensible and not spin and not crash and not do anything stupid, and we can be in a good position. Yes, the Ferraris are going to catch us up. The Red Bulls might not, but the Ferraris are probably going to catch us up at some point. But that's where our strategies are going to come in, and maybe we can get one of us on the podium again. Sainz is right on our tail with Danny Rick. Do you know what? I'm tempted to say to hold back the cars behind, but again, I'm accepting kind of defeat with Sainz at the moment, because Sainz is currently on the I had to accept defeat. It didn't even really give me a chance. He's on the medium, so he's going to last a bit longer on the track, but you know, he is in a faster car, a much faster car. I'm not meant to compete with the Ferrari at the end of the day. Although Norris's time, how is Sainz putting on such a good time, by the way? Like, some of these times are absolutely ridiculously different, and I don't know why, but they seem ridiculously different. Something I didn't want to see was Danny Rick has been overtaken by Leclerc and Perez in the same DRS zone, and he's losing ground with them massively. For whatever reason, Danny Rick is massively struggling here. And I don't really get why. If we look at the last lap, he's massively slower, whereas someone like Norris isn't massively slow. Although he does kind of look massively slower. This is just the difference in the quality of cars, I feel like. I feel like bloody qualifying is really up to our standards, and it really shouldn't have. Well, I said we might not have to worry about the Red Bulls. And Verstappen has managed to catch up Danny Rick. If that doesn't show the quality of car, that Verstappen in 15 laps has gone from 20th to pretty much to 5th, you know, we're just not on the same level as the Red Bulls. So I think we do have to accept a little bit of defeat here. And that might have to include, unfortunately, Lando Norris, who is currently losing ground on everybody. Although our pit window does open very, very soon with Norris, which could also be almost a perfect time for us. In fairness, I thought Danny Ric was all said and done with Verstappen, but he's given Verstappen a little bit of a battle here. He overtook him in the DRS zone, which again is just going to halt Verstappen's progress. And with Norris pitting very, very soon, I mean, maybe Danny Ric might be able to help us out with Norris, basically. And that 7-second gap could become crucial. Alonso has span. What is going on here with Alonso? Right on the main straight, and he just span out. Luckily for him, though, he did not crash into the wall because that would have cost him massively. Okay, this is the lap now that we're pitting Norris for a fresh pair of softs. We are going to push with Norris. Get as far forward as possible because right now, looking at it, we're meant to exit around 11th, which is, if we do, I'm reasonably happy with, to be honest with you. Danny Ric has lost his position to Gasly, unfortunately, in the DRS zone. Which isn't going to be helpful whatsoever. Let's check out what happened here. I had a feeling it would be on the straight, and it was on the straight. Danny Ric getting overtaken by the AlphaTauri. But again, it's all going to come down to strategies. I keep going back to strategies, but I really do feel like it's going to come down to that. Norris, it was predicted to come out in 11th. He's ended up coming out in 9th, so that is brilliant for us there. We'll put everything back to normal, but that is absolutely brilliant. We want a quick pit stop. He's projected to come out in 14th, so if we can get him out earlier than that, that'll be brilliant. He's onto the hards. 2.5 is a bit slow in comparison to especially Norris's. He doesn't come out in 14th, but he comes out in 12th, 13th. That's not bad. That is not bad whatsoever for Danny Ric. So I'm really happy with that. And he can stay out for a very, very long time before pushing towards the end. Whereas Norris is having a little push now to then go on the hards and cruise into the end of the race. Norris has managed to make the move on Russell. So it was, I would say it was on the DRS straight, but it really wasn't. It was on the corner, taking the momentum of the DRS. He nearly managed to overtake the Haas, but didn't manage to do it. But he did manage to hold his position on Russell. So Norris is on his way back up this grid. Norris has done it. I thought he would do it, but on the very next lap, he's managed to overtake Magnussen. He got DRS on him and managed to overtake him. And then he's managed to hold that going into the next DRS zone. So Norris is moving away from this little train involving Russell and Magnussen, which is huge for us. So Danny Ric has made it back into the top 10 after his pit by overtaking Valtteri Bottas again on the exact same straight. It seems like you're going to get sit to death at that straight by the end of this video because everyone seems to be taking over each other on that straight with DRS. So DRS seems to be very powerful. So we're getting a bunch more people going into the pits now that were on medium tyres. So it seems like a lot of the people who were on mediums to begin this race are now pitting. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens and what they all go on to. Gasly ended up going on hard, so I'm guessing they're going for a one-stop strategy, which I'm not going to lie, with the way this race is currently going, wouldn't surprise me if it works. Oh, Russell has spun. That could actually be quite important. I was going to talk you through our plan for the next lap, but Russell spinning and losing a few places could actually help us a little bit. He's down there in 11th, but when it comes to pitting, these big gaps are really going to help us. What I was going to talk you through was the fact that Norris has now entered his pit window, which now means that what we're going to do is we're going to push on these tyres. We're also going to push on the fuel, not quite yet on the ERS, but we're going to start pushing a little bit just so we can keep up with these big boys and then pit and hopefully not lose that many spots, because as it stands now, if we were to pit now, we are meant to come out in 8th. How far back will he go is the question. We're going to see. He's in. He's got the hard tyres on. 2.4 is what we like to see. This is actually going to be quite close. Ricciardo's coming down the straight now. And Norris has come out just behind him. This is perfect. Absolutely perfect for us. Brilliant stuff there. I mean, I might put him on harvest. He managed to overtake Ricciardo, actually, which is weirdly brilliant. Right, so Gasly has managed to overtake both Norris and Ricciardo on these old, I mean, I say older, these older, harder tyres. I mean, Ricciardo's got them even older, but yeah, Gasly's managing to overtake us. Gasly seems to be in a very decent car. He's a very good driver and in a decent car, so hopefully these guys can kind of stay next to each other and form a little train between themselves and really pull away from the likes of Hamilton, Magnussen and Ocon, just so when we pit Ricciardo, he will come out in the top 10. That's the aim. Whether it happens or not is yet to be seen. We do have some gearbox wear. It's only minor, but we do have some, so his performance will be impacted slightly. There's been a crash. Who for? What's going on? There's been a crash. I thought it was us crashing for a second there. Ocon has crashed. Ocon, I don't know where he was on the track. I thought he was reasonably high on the track. And he's crashed. He's gone into the wall. He was near a Mercedes, so that was either Hamilton or Russell. Yeah, Ocon's currently in 11th, so yeah, that crash is going to cost him big time. Big time. And we could now be coming out in, what, 9th maybe? 9th, 10th with Danny Rick, just because of where we're meant to be coming out in 9th now. With this pit stop. That's how much we've managed to pull away. Right, so here we go. Ricciardo with his pit stop. It was 2.5 again. They seem to favour Norris for some reason with their pit stops. Where's he going to end up? He's going to end up in 8th, which is really, really nice to see. He's in 8th and right behind Magnussen as well. So we're in a great position with Ricciardo, because Ricciardo's likely to take Magnussen, and then we'll see where he goes from there. But if you had told me Ricciardo was going to get 7th at the start of this race, I know he started 1 and 2, but if you would tell me that we would get 5th and 7th, I'd be more than happy with that. And there we go. Ricciardo has taken Magnussen, managed to take it in the DRS zone. And to be honest, with reasonable ease, we are literally harvesting our ERS right now. But we'll show you how it came about. It was just on the second DRS zone. He went around the outside and took Magnussen with a lot of ease, to be honest. So that means he's already in P7. So this is brilliant for us. Danny Rick has managed to make this work. And remember, he's on soft, so what I'd presume would happen from here on out is he'll manage to close this gap with Norris. Although, the gap is like 20 seconds. So if he can get rid of Magnussen, that would be great for him. So then he can just start closing this gap on Norris and Gasly. Right, so with Norris, we are on the penultimate lap now. We are literally there. We've managed to break, I think we've managed to break DRS with Gasly at the moment. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed, we can keep that broken for a rather long time. So I'm going to get both of them to push on the fuel. Ricciardo's very safely in 7th. I'm not even really concerned about Ricciardo. Our plans worked perfectly to make sure that Ricciardo's in 7th, which is amazing to see. Whereas with Norris, we might have to push a little bit on the final lap. But to be honest with you, I'm really happy with how this has gone. We should be getting 5th and 7th here. Don't get me wrong, 5th and 7th when you qualify in first and second, it might not be the best on paper, but when you're only behind the Ferraris and the Red Bulls, I know Gasly is in between both of them, but Gasly's a very, very good driver. He had a penalty, remember. He did out-qualify us. So the fact that the people who should really be above us are above us and everyone else is below us, I'm going to take that every day of the week. We are in a brilliant position, and he's going to take it home. There he does. We get 5th with Norris after qualifying in 1st and 2nd. We're going to watch Ricciardo cross the finish line as well. Go on, Danny Rick, you absolute legend. The pair of them, although Danny Rick did spin at the start, he didn't lose that much, and
that's the checkered flag.
That's amazing. 5th and 7th in this race. That is so many points. And when Alpines, who are our arch rivals so far this series, aren't getting many points at all, they got no points in this race. That's brilliant, and we're outperforming the Mercedes at the moment. So could we possibly be a contender to take over Mercedes? And there we go. You can see there, the Ferraris and the Red Bulls made up so many places, and we did lose a few, which on paper looks really bad. But again, you guys know why it's not as bad as it looks. And if you look at the Drivers' Championships right now, Lando Norris is now above George Russell, which is incredible to see. Brilliant by Lando Norris to get into 6th there. Danny Rick is just securing that 10th spot. I say just securing that 10th spot, but he's now getting into a fight now with Alonso and Bottas. So that's great to see, to be honest with you, because as you can see with the races finished, both of them have finished every single race. Ricciardo didn't finish 2 of them. And in the Constructors, we're up to 105 with 33 points away from Alpine now. We've massively pulled away, but we're only 44 off of Mercedes. Could we pull off the shock of the series and finish in 3rd in the Constructors? That would be downright incredible. Mid-season board review. The board have assessed your performance as team principal for the season. Thus far, I've compiled the below report. Obviously, the long-term objective is to win the Constructors in 2026, which is 5 seasons away, and we're currently in 4th, but we could possibly be getting 3rd. Remember, our target position is 5th, so we're meant to finish below Alpine, and right now we're massively outperforming Alpine, so we're in a great position in the fact that we're currently thinking of a fight for 3rd, and we're only meant to be fighting for 5th, so this is brilliant for us. If you look at our facilities, we could probably have a new design center. I think we do need to upgrade a couple of things. Like our scouting department and team hub can probably be upgraded. And a lot of these can be upgraded. Our weather center probably should get upgraded. So we are going to upgrade our weather center, and we're going to upgrade our team hub, and we're going to upgrade our scouting department as well. So we're going to upgrade both of those. I think next time we will upgrade the design center if we've got enough money, or the suspension simulator, just because I think we will need that at some point. In the next episode, if we scroll all the way down, we've got the Belgium Grand Prix and the Dutch Grand Prix. Fingers crossed it's as successful as this episode, because we managed to get on a podium and we managed to get pole position in a race. So we've done brilliantly in this episode. If you have enjoyed it, make sure to drop a like down below. Do comment your own thoughts, and if you're new here, please do subscribe, because if you're not here already, if you've not subscribed already, what are you doing? What are you doing? Make sure to subscribe so you do not miss a thing, and I shall see all of you in the next video. See ya! And the question is, I wonder whether you guys noticed the quality difference, because I got a new fancy camera. Look at it. Hello.